You can now find multiple versions of this video linked below, so be sure to choose the experience that suits your preference. As always, timestamps have been provided, and be sure to check out my new React channel down below where we cover more videos like this. Enjoy the video.
The Oceanic Religion theory connects mythological sea beasts to an ancient civilization. The Sea People, mysterious raiders who attacked Mediterranean kingdoms around 1200 BCE, possibly gained their naval power through pacts with entities living in the deep ocean. Many ancient cultures shared similar stories of massive ocean creatures, granting power to devoted followers. Coastal archaeological sites contain stone carvings showing human figures bowing before tentacled creatures alongside images of waves and boats. Modern shipping routes where vessels disappear often match ancient Sea People raid patterns. Sailors call these areas dead zones, which overlap with regions where underwater equipment detects unexplained sounds from something larger than known sea creatures. After the Sea People suddenly vanished from history, reports emerged of ships being pulled underwater by giant tentacles and strange lights in deep waters. Modern missing vessels often describe similar phenomena in their final communications. Deep-sea creatures behave oddly in these historic raid zones, with sonar showing fish suddenly scattering from unseen threats. Some theorists believe these ancient entities, no longer controlled through worship, now freely hunt in their former territories. Holocaustic Posadism proposes a connection between mass tragedies and supernatural power harvesting. This theory originates from ancient beliefs that places of great suffering become permanently altered by the energy of those who died there. According to this concept, military bases and government buildings around the world are often built near or directly on sites of mass graves and death camps. These locations reportedly experience unusual electronic interference, with equipment failure rates significantly higher than normal. Historical accounts claim Nazi scientists performed paranormal research at concentration camps, testing prisoners to measure supposed death energy and spiritual resonance. Many of these records were allegedly collected by Allied forces after the war, with some remaining classified. Some adherents of this theory point out that certain modern military installations use equipment generating electromagnetic fields that match frequency ranges associated with alleged ghost activity. These devices supposedly consume enormous power for unknown purposes. The theory also suggests that various black budget programs focus on ambient energy collection at historical massacre sites. Some witnesses report strange lights and sounds near these locations, particularly during periods of military activity. According to proponents, some government agencies allegedly track and rate locations based on their spiritual saturation level, with mass death sites scoring highest. These same locations often become restricted military zones with unusual security levels. Patents held by demons presents a chilling perspective on technological innovation. Dark rumors circulate about inventors who struck midnight bargains, exchanging their souls for scientific brilliance. Peculiar patterns emerged in patent filings, sudden bursts of genius materialized from nowhere, often preceding the inventor's rapid downfall. Some briefly enjoyed fame and fortune from these demonic endowments, only to lose everything through strange accidents or unexpected mental collapse. Examination reveals unusual symbols concealed within patent drawings, reportedly demonic signatures marking their corrupted gifts to humanity. These markings frequently connect to ancient occult texts describing pacts with malevolent entities. Many groundbreaking patents share disturbing similarities in their timing, filed during solar eclipses, blood moons, or dates with occult significance. The documents themselves occasionally contain inexplicable gaps or sections defying technical logic. Archives reveal incidents where patent examiners abandoned their positions after reviewing certain applications, leaving behind mysterious notes referencing wrong knowledge and things man wasn't meant to know. Rather than direct invention, theorists suggest demons contaminate human advancement by offering knowledge that appears beneficial but harbors hidden dangers. Each innovation allegedly draws humanity further from natural law and deeper into supernatural debt. Pendulum People examines how humans might function as generators of entropy, swinging between states of order and chaos like cosmic pendulums. Our research shows that everyday human activities, burning fossil fuels, creating waste heat, produce vast amounts of entropy, potentially valuable to advanced entities who can manipulate time. Throughout history, patterns of collective human behavior might indicate this harvesting process. Major wars, economic collapses, and social upheavals mark points where entropy production spikes dramatically. Witnesses note these chaos points often occur at surprisingly regular intervals. The evidence connects to the second law of thermodynamics. While entropy universally increases, records suggest localized regions sometimes experience temporary entropy decreases, but only when energy comes from outside sources. This pattern mirrors human civilization's cycle, periods of increasing order followed by sudden collapse. Some researchers have identified mathematical patterns in these societal oscillations resembling advanced wave functions. The rise and fall of empires, markets, and cultural movements show almost mechanical precision, as if humanity operates on a cosmic timer designed to maximize disorder at key moments. Descensionism warns of dangers within spiritual practices. While many seek spiritual elevation, this philosophy suggests souls can become trapped through contact with damned spirits. Ancient texts describe souls growing heavier and earthbound after extended exposure to the cursed. Various cultures share accounts of people losing their connection to higher realms after time spent in cursed places or with practitioners of dark arts. These individuals reportedly felt drawn to shadowy spaces and unable to experience joy, as if being pulled downward. Monks and spiritual leaders cautioned followers against prolonged contact with those showing signs of a cursed soul, characterized by a hollow look and earthbound heaviness. These warnings included stories of entire communities falling into darkness after welcoming cursed individuals. In modern cases, people claim their spiritual abilities diminished after working in locations known for negative energy, such as abandoned prisons or tragedy sites. Some reported feeling physically heavier, as though gravity strengthened its hold on them, perhaps just the effect of spending too much time reading disturbing stories in basements. Mystical traditions describe specific signs of a descending soul: deepening shadows under the eyes, lower voice, and increasing discomfort in sacred spaces. Concerningly, those affected often remain unaware of their descent until recovery becomes impossible. Efforts against Operation Bluebeam involve counter-movements challenging what some believe is a large-scale deception plot. Research shows various spiritual groups forming in response to alleged government plans, many facing suppression. These counter-movements establish belief systems designed to resist technological manipulation of religious experiences. Some groups create rituals to ground participants against holographic and psychological influence. Records describe religious communes being disbanded under unusual circumstances, with official explanations ranging from zoning violations to safety concerns. These groups often reference defense against artificial rapture scenarios. Data indicates new spiritual movements incorporating technological elements into their practices, from signal-blocking meditation to devices meant to detect artificial spiritual experiences. Some built specialized structures with materials believed to shield against government projection systems. These counter-movements typically emerge near military installations or aerospace facilities. Their founders often claim government or scientific backgrounds, though these claims are difficult to verify. The math hacker theory, actually known as mentality manipulation music, connects sound and mind control, drawing from ancient sacred geometry and musical frequency concepts. This theory suggests specific sound patterns can manipulate human consciousness. Laboratory experiments from the 1960s showed certain sound frequencies altered brainwave patterns, hinting at deeper possibilities. Government agencies reportedly collected data on behavioral changes during concerts and music festivals. Historical records note musical compositions causing similar emotional responses across diverse cultures and ages, exceeding normal musical appreciation. Military sound weapons are cited as evidence that audio frequencies influence human biology more than commonly known. Researchers allegedly found ancient texts describing songs of power for crowd control, with correlations to modern infrasound studies. These manuscripts often contained mathematical formulas alongside musical notation. Archive materials reference underground forums sharing black market audio files claiming to induce specific mental states. While most were hoaxes, some showed unusual mathematical consistencies. Multiple cases of mass behavioral shifts during radio broadcasts have been reported, with listeners experiencing identical emotions at the same timestamp. Though possibly explained as mass hysteria, the precise timing raises questions. The term sonic geometry appears in restricted 1980s patents describing consciousness-altering waveforms created through mathematical calculations. These documents largely disappeared from public records but exist in leaked fragments. The abandoned internet theory proposes that today's internet was originally a government testing ground now left to decay like a digital ghost town. Government agencies developed early internet protocols through ARPANET in the 1960s before abandoning these systems for more advanced networks. Evidence includes numerous defunct military and government domains from the 1990s with broken links and corrupted databases. These sites show signs of hasty abandonment, unfinished pages, and partially wiped servers, suggesting a quick transition to newer systems. Similar patterns reportedly occurred globally, with military intranets mysteriously going offline in the early 2000s, leaving only digital traces indicating migration to classified systems. Declassified documents mention Project Watershed, describing a parallel digital infrastructure developed alongside the public internet. The project's final communication simply stated "migration complete" before all related communications ceased. Underwater exploration data reveals active data cables in the Mariana Trench at 6,000 meters, much deeper than normal internet infrastructure, with no connection to known systems or apparent commercial purpose. Some accounts suggest today's internet exists above layers of abandoned government networks, similar to ancient ruins beneath modern cities. Each deeper layer supposedly contains increasingly classified information, with the deepest level, called the Mariana Web, allegedly housing current military command and control systems. Extinction Barriers connects death, souls, and lost races in ways few researchers explore. Ancient records hint at a species before humans, the troglodytes. Their remains show rapid development followed by sudden disappearance, with evidence of mass burials and cities that simply stopped growing. Documents from this period reveal these beings had tools, artistic abilities, and early writing systems. But something catastrophic happened. Archaeological layers tell a clear story. Initial population growth, then widespread disease markers, and finally complete absence. Interestingly, troglodyte artwork shares striking similarities with early human cave paintings. The same themes, techniques, and symbols appear despite these species never overlapping. Some researchers suggest this indicates more than coincidence, theorizing that the consciousness of extinct troglodytes may have transferred their collective memory into early human populations. Evidence suggests other vanished species followed similar paths. Quick advancement toward civilization followed by extinction. Each time, the next emerging species shows characteristics of its predecessors. These extinction barriers might serve as evolutionary tests, succeed or perish, making room for the next candidate. Sites across Asia reveal layers containing different species remains, each showing increasing intelligence before disappearing. This pattern repeats consistently: development, pressure, extinction. The evidence points to something periodically resetting Earth's intelligent life, waiting for one species to successfully break through. The no free market theory suggests that global economics is controlled by hidden powers, with market forces being illusory. Our research found identical price changes across competing brands, questioning genuine competition. Historical documents reveal suspicious patterns in business development, with small companies encountering similar obstacles across different sectors and regions. Sources indicate that certain corporations maintain consistent growth regardless of economic conditions. We observed interconnected board memberships among apparent competitors, creating networks of shared interests. Data analysis indicates coordinated product launches and price adjustments that seem too precise to occur naturally. Field research uncovered artificial supply shortages with fully stocked warehouses but empty retail shelves, indicating deliberate market manipulation. Simultaneously, smaller competitors experienced persistent supply chain disruptions. Reports show that inflation rates, interest changes, and commodity prices follow predictable patterns benefiting specific corporations, suggesting predetermined economic scenarios rather than natural market evolution. Financial records of supposed competitors reveal remarkably similar profit margins, as if following a script. When one company fails, their market share transfers to predetermined successors, maintaining an appearance of competition. The carrier theory suggests a connection between hidden societies and marine life. Ancient coastal stories describe dolphins guiding lost ships to safety and warning of storms, indicating greater intelligence than typically recognized. Historical documents show unusual dolphin behavior, with pods following specific deep-sea routes unrelated to known migration or feeding patterns. These routes often lead to unexplored underwater cave systems and trenches. Sonar mapping has detected complex sequences of clicks and whistles between dolphins that exceed their known communication abilities. These sequences show mathematical precision, possibly representing coded messages. Prehistoric cave paintings across multiple unconnected ancient cultures depict humans working with dolphin-like creatures, transferring objects between surface settlements and underwater areas. Data analysis reveals certain dolphin pods have genetic differences from others, including larger brain capacity and more complex vocal organs. These pods typically appear near locations with deep-sea structures. These specific pods seem to deliberately avoid human contact while maintaining patrol patterns around certain ocean regions, behaving more like trained guardians than wild animals. The second part of the Sky Society waste disposal theory suggests that unusual historical incidents may be linked to waste from hidden floating cities. The Kentucky meat shower of 1876, when fresh meat fell from a clear sky, is presented as compelling evidence, not merely an aerial cooking accident. Research shows that between 1800 and 1890, over 30 cases of strange substances falling from the sky were recorded across Europe and North America. These included metal fragments and unusual fluids, with witnesses noting strange glowing effects in overhead clouds. When mapped, these skyfalls formed straight-line patterns across continents, suggesting fixed travel corridors that remained consistent for decades. In the 1850s, local blacksmiths examined fallen metal pieces and found they couldn't reproduce the material's properties. Some fragments were described as light as paper but stronger than steel, though most samples have since vanished from records. Sailors in the 1840s reported phantom storms where water and debris fell from completely clear skies. Some accounts included seemingly advanced items like perfectly round metal spheres and glass-like materials that remained intact when dropped. During the Industrial Revolution, several weather stations noted strange instances of upside-down rain, water droplets apparently rising skyward, as if being pulled upward by something above. The God's blind spot theory connects the Drapa stones to an ancient tribe's attempt to escape divine judgment. These stones, found in 1938 near the Tibet-China border, feature spiral grooves and unusual markings some interpret as spells. According to legends, the stones were used in a ritual during what's believed to be the time of the Great Flood. The tribe supposedly created a barrier that made them invisible to divine sight. This protection allegedly came at a terrible cost. The tribe's souls became trapped in their bodies after death. Their flesh continues to rot but never fully decays, leaving them in an endless cycle of living death. Local people avoid certain caves in the region, claiming they contain walking corpses that cannot die. These beings reportedly still hold the Drapa stones, continuing their rituals in hidden chambers. The stones show signs of radiation and make strange sounds when exposed to certain frequencies. They contain high amounts of cobalt and metals not native to the area, suggesting unusual origins. People report encountering gaunt figures with gray, peeling skin who vanish when religious symbols appear. Their presence reportedly causes electronic equipment to fail and frightens animals away. The nature of talent theory proposes that human potential has preset limitations hardwired into our genetic code and spiritual makeup from birth. Evidence shows child prodigies often display exceptional abilities before any formal training, as if guided by an invisible hand. Cases exist of individuals hitting unexplainable learning plateaus despite dedicated practice and excellent instruction. The Singapore Music Institute's 15-year study found students showed nearly identical skill ceilings, regardless of practice hours or teaching methods. Across various fields, patterns of natural exclusion emerge, where certain people seem fundamentally unable to grasp specific concepts despite understanding related, sometimes more complex ideas. A concert pianist might struggle with basic algebra, while a mathematician finds themselves unable to learn even simple melodies. Even with modern teaching methods, technology, and unlimited resources, some barriers remain unbreakable. This pattern appears across cultures, time periods, and educational systems, suggesting something deeper than environmental factors at work. Ancient texts from multiple civilizations reference this concept, describing humans as vessels designed for specific purposes. The Greek notion of demon, a guiding spirit that shapes one's destiny, mirrors these modern observations of seemingly predetermined capabilities. The submission to cause theory proposes a darker interpretation of human dedication and mortality. People who completely devote themselves to a purpose may create a spiritual connection to Earth, tying their essence to their chosen mission. This connection establishes an endless cycle, as the committed soul stays connected to the physical world after death. Their strong conviction functions like a mystical agreement, exchanging the tranquility of moving on for perpetual dedication to their cause. Complications arise when these tethered souls encounter others who have made similar commitments to conflicting ideals. They become trapped in an unending spiritual conflict, with each side's dedication preventing the other from finding peace. Historical records show cases of influential figures whose impact seemed to persist well beyond their deaths, with their life's work continuing to attract followers. Some theorists suggest that ongoing cultural conflicts demonstrate these opposing bound souls pulling humanity in different directions. Research has connected intense devotion with observable changes in brain activity and electromagnetic fields surrounding true believers. Scientists note these patterns correspond with ancient descriptions of soul anchoring found in texts from various cultures. Entity spawning is a concept that blends digital paranoia with simulation theory. It emerged from concerns about deep fakes, AI, and questions about online authenticity. According to this idea, some online personalities seem to physically appear only after gaining significant internet attention, raising questions about their actual existence. Proponents claim that when people try to find viral internet figures, these individuals suddenly appear with complete backstories and evidence that conveniently emerges just as people search for them. Critics note that meetings with these internet celebrities often feel staged or unnatural. Some believe these internet celebrities only physically manifest after enough people attempt to find them in real life, similar to how video games only render digital assets when a player approaches them. They point to how these figures appear precisely when and where they're expected, leading some believers to deliberately attempt to spawn fictional characters by generating sufficient online interest. There are claims of memory inconsistencies among people who supposedly knew these internet celebrities before they became famous, as if their histories were retroactively inserted into reality. These memory discrepancies reportedly align with major search trends or viral moments. The more concerning interpretation suggests an unknown force, technological or supernatural, maintains the illusion of a populated internet by creating physical manifestations when the digital facade might be exposed, effectively patching holes in reality whenever someone tries to prove the internet's artificiality. Clone control theory suggests a covert agenda behind changing views on traditional family structures. Since the 1990s, there's been a significant increase in genetic research funding from government and private sources, particularly for human genome modification. Patents have been filed for artificial womb technologies and genetic selection methods, with major research institutions receiving classified government contracts. These institutions maintain connections with behavioral psychology research centers. There's an unusual overlap between media companies promoting non-traditional family content and corporations investing in genetic engineering startups. These companies share board members with pharmaceutical companies developing advanced fertility treatments. Military documents from the 1960s describe theoretical, optimized human development programs with controlled social environments for lab-created humans. Though heavily redacted, surviving passages mention genetic loyalty encoding and predetermined social adaptation. Declassified memos hint that human cloning experiments were more successful than publicly acknowledged, referencing viable specimens and behavioral conditioning protocols. This period coincided with the first major pushes to redefine family structures in mainstream media. Recent genetic engineering advances in China have raised concerns, as their research aligns with old Western military documents about creating genetically enhanced humans. Their social policies mirror theoretical frameworks described in those files. Some scientific papers on genetic behavior modification and artificial human development have vanished from public databases, with their authors later taking positions at classified government research facilities. Osmosis Propaganda explores the concept that beliefs can spread through society without direct exposure. Similar to how water moves through membranes, certain ideas appear to diffuse across populations who've never encountered their original source. Evidence for this phenomenon includes several cases where identical ideas emerged in isolated groups without clear connections. In 1976, tribes in Papua New Guinea constructed airplane-shaped structures despite having no contact with the outside world, developing beliefs about cargo planes that matched Western concepts they had never been exposed to. In 1987, clusters of similar dreams were reported across Japan, with thousands describing visions of a woman in red walking through walls, despite no preceding media depicting such imagery. During the Cold War, matching children's drawings appeared in different countries, showing nearly identical shadow people, despite no cultural exchange between the children. Research in the 1990s found that when a fake story was planted in an isolated town, neighboring cities began repeating elements of the tale without any traceable spread, as if the information moved invisibly between communities. This phenomenon might explain why certain products succeed without marketing, or how social movements arise simultaneously in disconnected places, ideas seemingly materializing in the public consciousness from an invisible source. Recent studies have identified matching belief patterns emerging in different online communities that never interacted, like identical flowers blooming in separate gardens without cross-pollination. The Spontaneity Lifestyle theory suggests powerful interests have encouraged impulsive behavior and short-term thinking. In the 1950s, marketing campaigns began connecting happiness with quick decisions rather than careful planning. The 1960s saw a rise in credit card promotions and buy now, pay later options, coinciding with internal memos about reducing future orientation in the public. Phrases like "live in the moment" and "you only live once" simultaneously gained popularity in media. Government-funded research portrayed spontaneous people as more successful and likable, while depicting long-term planners as rigid and inflexible. These studies received prominent coverage in major media throughout the 1970s and 80s. Schools began replacing long-term projects and strategic thinking courses with quick result assignments, aligning with classified documents about creating a present-focused population less likely to organize resistance. Former advertising executives revealed they were paid to portray careful savers as boring and paranoid, while elevating impulsive characters who went with the flow as heroes in entertainment media. The maximal spatial censorship theory proposes that advanced alien civilizations deliberately alter human scientific data to hide their existence. This cosmic concealment might explain why our most sophisticated equipment hasn't detected clear evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Anomalies in astronomical data have been observed where certain space regions appear unusually empty or show inconsistent readings across different observation methods. Multiple observatories have recorded strange instances where star systems temporarily disappear only to reappear in later observations. Scientists have found that many promising candidates for extraterrestrial life, especially in the habitable Goldilocks zone of distant solar systems, often yield contradictory or unreliable data. Some theorists humorously suggest that civilizations advanced enough to hide entire star systems would likely be better at covering their tracks, unless they intentionally want us to notice these inconsistencies. Researchers have identified patterns of signal interference that don't match known natural phenomena, particularly when Earth's most powerful telescopes focus on specific cosmic coordinates. These disruptions frequently occur during the collection of data that might reveal artificial structures or energy signatures. The theory connects to cases where scientists have withdrawn initial reports about potential alien megastructures or unexplained celestial phenomena, citing equipment problems or data processing errors. This recurring pattern of technical issues might not be coincidental, but could indicate an unseen influence shaping human perception of the cosmos. The Experimentation Innocuity theory proposes that government testing takes place in plain sight, disguised as everyday events. Records show strange patterns in ice cream truck routes through suburban neighborhoods during the 1960s, with some trucks making identical loops for months without selling any ice cream. Evidence emerged of unusual weather balloon launches near small towns, always preceded by local radio stations playing the same song sequence. These timings coincided with reports of short memory gaps among residents. Researchers found multiple instances of traveling circus performers collecting detailed information about audience members' reactions to specific colors and sounds. These notes were then sent to unmarked facilities through regular mail services. Investigation uncovered government-funded studies of urban planning that heavily focused on testing public responses to subtle changes in park bench placement and street lamp colors. Many benches had hidden sensors that collected biometric data from anyone sitting down. Declassified documents reveal agents posing as door-to-door salesmen throughout the 1970s, carrying briefcases equipped with devices to measure household radiation levels. Their sales pitches contained specific phrases designed to trigger mild psychological responses. Archived reports describe how ordinary carnival games were modified to test human reaction times and decision-making abilities. The ring toss became a sophisticated tool for studying hand-eye coordination under various electromagnetic frequencies. The 5-to-1 inculcation theory describes a concealed power structure within government institutions. According to this theory, new members in positions of influence are systematically surrounded by 5 established operatives, creating an invisible control system. These 5-person units allegedly maintain continuous surveillance by sharing living and working spaces with their target. This arrangement supposedly allows for swift removal of any inductee showing resistance or independent thinking. The theory points to patterns where newly elected officials, corporate leaders, and media figures often move near clusters of established figures. Their families share schools, social clubs, and vacation destinations. According to proponents, control groups rotate members to maintain the appearance of normal social relationships while preventing any single handler from becoming too close to the target. This creates multiple oversight layers without arousing suspicion. Each handler reportedly specializes in different influence methods: financial pressure, social manipulation, information control, physical intimidation, and psychological conditioning. This division ensures complete coverage of the target's life while maintaining deniability. The structure resembles certain military and intelligence protocols for managing high-value assets, except the asset remains unaware of being handled. The system's simplicity supposedly allows it to operate openly without detection. The utopia already achieved theory suggests that mankind has secretly mastered producing basic needs, with current shortages being artificially created. Records indicate several breakthrough technologies in food production and energy generation have been suppressed. evidence has emerged of massive underground hydroponic facilities capable of feeding entire cities sitting unused across North America. These structures, detected through thermal imaging, show constant power usage but have no official documentation. Researchers found patents from the 1970s detailing remarkably efficient solar cell designs far superior to today's market offerings. These patents were quickly purchased by major energy companies and shelved. Similar patterns occurred with fusion power and water purification systems. Studies show food waste in major cities often exceeds 40%, with good products being destroyed rather than distributed. Supporters see this systematic destruction of excess goods as proof of artificial scarcity. Power companies have reportedly developed citywide wireless electricity transmission systems based on Tesla's original designs. Testing in remote areas suggests these systems work perfectly, yet remain unused while traditional power infrastructure crumbles in poor neighborhoods. Military bases worldwide maintain stockpiles of advanced farming equipment and sustainable energy technology that never reaches civilian markets. When questioned about these stockpiles, officials cite national security concerns, a common justification that keeps potentially transformative technology hidden. Contemporary deities suggests elite groups seek divine transformation through rituals and events, with different approaches based on national wealth. In rich countries, underground networks use resources for private ceremonies, combining ancient mysticism with modern technology to achieve transcendence. In poorer nations, the path involves catastrophic events, engineered disasters or conflicts, serving as either catalysts for ascension or results of someone reaching godhood. Historical patterns support this theory. Ancient texts describe disasters coinciding with humans becoming divine. Modern incidents show similar patterns, especially in economically struggling regions where communities disappear after unexplained disasters. The pattern appears globally. Wealthy areas report missing elites and strange energy from secure compounds, while developing regions experience mass disappearances alongside environmental anomalies. Tracking shows these events increasing since the 1950s. Supposed successful transformations reportedly leave electromagnetic disturbances, light phenomena, and technology dead zones in poorer regions. Some theorists believe these ascended beings actively conceal evidence, explaining the lack of definitive proof. The Crimson Countries theory suggests a deliberate effort to maintain regions of perpetual suffering around the world. According to this theory, international policies are designed to systematically block aid, infrastructure development, and economic growth in specific areas. Evidence points to consistent patterns where promising developments in certain nations were suddenly halted through seemingly unrelated events such as natural disasters, political upheavals, or economic crashes. These incidents typically occurred just as these regions showed signs of escaping poverty cycles. Investigations revealed unusual financial flows where development resources disappeared into shell companies connected to influential figures from wealthy nations. Some of these transactions coincided with increased tourism to struggling regions, particularly from wealthy individuals seeking to experience authentic poverty. Research uncovered leaked documents showing global leaders discussing the maintenance of observation zones, areas intentionally kept in various states of crisis. These zones allegedly serve as living museums of human suffering, preserved for the entertainment of the wealthy who can visit safely. The evidence trail leads to exclusive clubs where members pay large sums to tour these manufactured crisis zones, with luxury viewing facilities hidden nearby. Their marketing materials describe authentic human experiences and raw survival scenarios, essentially treating human suffering as entertainment. Analysts have identified patterns of blocked development proposals, denied loans, and sabotaged infrastructure projects across these regions. While each rejection came with apparently valid reasons, together they create a system of deliberate obstruction, ensuring these nations remain in a controlled state of despair. The divine plants theory connects ancient religious texts with modern environmental science, suggesting nature possesses supernatural powers. Records show multiple civilizations independently developed beliefs about plants having divine origins, from Norse mythology's world tree to Hindu sacred groves. Evidence emerged linking plant photosynthesis to unexplained phenomena during early scientific studies. In 1648, researcher Jan Baptist van Helmont observed a willow tree gaining 164 pounds from just water and soil, leading some to believe plants drew mass from spiritual energy. Researchers found plants release specific wavelengths of light during photosynthesis that match frequencies described in religious texts about divine radiance. These biophoton emissions, too weak for human eyes, sparked claims of plants channeling heavenly energy. Studies revealed certain sacred plants contain compounds that alter human consciousness in ways similar to descriptions of divine encounters. This led to speculation that some vegetation evolved specifically to help humans connect with higher powers. Plants' ability to purify air is viewed as evidence of their holy status. The transformation of toxic gases into life-giving oxygen seems too perfect to be random evolution. Their cleansing power parallels spiritual concepts of purification and redemption. The Deluge Reset theory connects flood myths from over 200 civilizations worldwide, suggesting they all describe a single catastrophic event. These stories share remarkable similarities despite originating from separated cultures. Evidence includes geological signs of sea level rise around 11,000 BCE, aligning with the time frame mentioned in various flood legends. Sumerian texts record extremely long reigns for kings before the flood, followed by much shorter reigns after, implying a major civilization disruption. Archaeological discoveries show simultaneous flooding across ancient settlements globally. One example is the Black Sea, once a freshwater lake until saltwater from the Mediterranean broke through the Bosphorus Strait, flooding 60,000 square miles within months. Flood narratives worldwide share common elements: divine warnings, chosen survivors, preserved animals, and humanity's fresh start. Hindu texts even reference 7 human cycles, each previous one ending with great floods. Evidence suggests some ancient structures were specifically designed to withstand massive flooding. The theory proposes that melting Ice Age glaciers created enormous water reservoirs that eventually broke through ice dams, causing catastrophic global flooding, a hypothesis supported by geological studies showing massive flash floods carved entire valleys in just weeks. IRL Console Commands comes from a mix of simulation theory and spiritual beliefs. Similar to video game cheat codes that change programming, some people claim to have discovered ways to hack reality through specific actions or words. People have tried to activate these commands through everything from simple prosperity rituals to complex movements paired with specific phrases. In one case, a man claimed to unlock superhuman strength by performing hand gestures while reciting prime numbers backwards. Online communities have formed to document supposedly successful commands. The most commonly reported effects include manipulating probability, accessing hidden knowledge, and brief moments of time manipulation. Members share detailed logs of their attempts with timestamps and witness accounts. Researchers have found ancient texts with similar concepts, especially in Hermetic teachings about humanity's divine nature and ability to shape reality through will. These historical similarities have led some to suggest that modern command attempts are rediscovering ancient human abilities. The theory is influenced by quantum mechanics, particularly the observer effect. Believers claim human consciousness can directly influence reality at the quantum level. Some practitioners report entering trance states where reality becomes code-like and changeable. Some believers now focus on collective command execution, claiming that multiple people performing the same reality-altering sequence increases its effectiveness. They organize synchronized global attempts at changing probability or manipulating weather. The Antarctic Anomaly suggests our southernmost continent contains zones where reality becomes unstable. These spaces function like cosmic sink drains, pulling in whatever ventures too close, from lost expeditions to entire buildings. Records show strange gaps in Antarctic mapping data, with satellite imagery displaying different terrain features on each pass. A mountain range one month might appear as a flat ice sheet the next, with no natural explanation for such rapid changes. evidence exists of research stations that seemingly vanished without warning. While official reports attribute this to harsh weather and ice movement, logs from nearby bases describe seeing lights and structures in areas that proved empty upon investigation. Researchers found that even ancient satellite photos display these shifting patterns, with some regions appearing to reset every few weeks. This might explain why detailed maps of certain Antarctic zones remain impossible to verify despite centuries of exploration. Metal fragments and equipment occasionally emerge from the ice with untraceable origins. These items often show signs of exposure beyond their recovery location's documented history, as if they had cycled through multiple timelines. Local magnetic field readings reveal unusual fluctuations that don't match Earth's normal patterns. These distortions intensify around areas where disappearances are most frequently reported, suggesting tears in the fabric of spacetime itself. The Abiogenic Life theory challenges our understanding of natural resources. Deep within Earth's crust, where heat and pressure transform raw materials, living organisms might be involved in the process. This resembles crude oil formation, but instead of remains from ancient plants and animals, it suggests active living entities we haven't yet identified. Unusual chemical signatures have been found in oil deposits that don't match the expected biological markers from decomposed ancient organic matter. These findings suggest ongoing biological processes occurring deep underground, rather than the conventional model of decomposition over millions of years. Scientists have discovered microorganisms surviving in extreme environments similar to those where oil forms. These resilient life forms, existing miles below the surface under immense pressure and temperature, indicate that supposedly non-biological processes might actually be the work of unknown organisms. Some oil wells appear to replenish themselves over time, contradicting our understanding of finite resource depletion. This phenomenon aligns with the concept of living systems continuously producing these materials rather than a one-time prehistoric process. Similar patterns have been observed in the formation of natural gas and certain mineral deposits. This presents an intriguing possibility. Humans might be harvesting the byproducts of Earth's deepest inhabitants without realizing it, similar to collecting honey from an invisible hive. Bureaucracy Facadism suggests that intricate bureaucratic structures conceal networks of control beyond official governance. Power operates more subtly than electoral processes and legislation, with influential groups exercising authority through layers of management and regulatory complexity. Documentation reveals how completing routine procedures requires approval from numerous departments, creating extensive but ineffective documentation. Each administrative level leads to another, forming a deliberately constructed labyrinth rather than an accidental one. Research has uncovered similar organizational patterns across various nations and corporations, suggesting coordinated design. From government offices to corporate hierarchies, the consistent pattern divides authority into fragments, preventing individuals from comprehending the complete system. Studies show these structures naturally resist reform efforts. When simplification is attempted, complexity reappears elsewhere, similar to weeds concealing valuable crops. Those who identify these patterns often find themselves marginalized or overwhelmed with peripheral tasks. Research indicates that significant decisions occur outside official channels, in casual meetings, exclusive organizations, and private gatherings. The visible bureaucracy diverts attention while actual influence operates through unofficial pathways. Analysis of information flow within these systems demonstrates how data becomes progressively filtered and altered. By the time information reaches public awareness, it has been so thoroughly processed that its origins cannot be traced, an intentional feature of the system. The 4chan conspiracy suggests one of the internet's most infamous websites serves as a covert communication channel for non-human entities. Records indicate unusual patterns in the site's early development, with its creator Christopher Poole seemingly appearing out of nowhere to launch a platform that would dramatically shape online culture. Evidence emerged of strange repeating numbers, symbols, and phrases across different boards that don't follow typical human posting patterns. These sequences often appear simultaneously across multiple threads, defying the odds of random behavior. Investigation revealed numerous instances of predictive posts where anonymous users shared detailed information about events before they occurred. While some cases were proven false, others remain unexplained, with timestamps and archived posts supporting their authenticity. Researchers discovered that during certain astronomical events, posting patterns shift dramatically, with an increase in cryptic messages using mathematical sequences that align with deep space signals detected by radio telescopes. The site's resilience against numerous attempted takedowns suggests it operates on technology beyond current human capabilities. Its core infrastructure has survived attacks that have crippled much larger websites. Analysis of the site's code revealed unusual redundancies and structures serving no apparent purpose, almost as if the familiar image board interface masks a more complex system underneath. These code segments don't match any known programming patterns. The anonymous nature of the platform makes it ideal for encoded communication, with the chaotic stream of posts providing perfect cover for hidden messages. What appears as random noise to humans could serve as clear signals to more advanced beings. Inner Earth Wardens suggests ancient beings trapped in Earth's core manipulate humanity to secure their release. According to this concept, these entities helped establish early civilizations, guiding our technological development to facilitate their escape. Some claim evidence connects modern space programs to these inner dwellers, noting excessive orbital debris beyond what's necessary for communications or research. They point out how satellite launch timing correlates with deep geological events, which believers interpret as the Warden's communication attempts. Proponents identify patterns in ancient texts across cultures that describe agreements with those below, entities offering knowledge in exchange for assistance breaking free from their earthen prison. They note that the acceleration of space technology since the 1950s coincides with increased seismic activity at depths exceeding typical fault lines. Stories of inner Earth beings appear in global folklore, distinct from conventional Hollow Earth narratives about lost civilizations. The Wardens are portrayed as primordial entities predating humanity. Some find it suspicious that satellite launches continue while Mars missions face delays. Some researchers claim early rocket scientists mentioned receiving guidance from below in personal journals. Believers question why we've mapped more of space than our ocean floors, suggesting something beneath may prefer remaining hidden. The Secrecy Paradox challenges our intuition. While we might expect vast open spaces to hide secrets best, crowded cities actually conceal more effectively. Urban centers contain numerous forgotten spaces, abandoned subway tunnels, sealed basements, and buildings that have slipped from public memory. These remain hidden because city residents assume someone else is monitoring these areas. Some groups exploit this urban blindness. In Tokyo, entire communities have lived in forgotten underground spaces for years. New York's tunnel system shelters unknown numbers of people in its remotest sections. Rural communities, by contrast, typically map and monitor their entire territory out of necessity. Farmers know every path, cave, and structure for miles around. City dwellers, however, rarely stray from their regular routes, creating perfect hiding places that remain in plain sight. City regulations inadvertently help conceal activity. Areas marked restricted or authorized personnel only create unquestioned dead zones. Strange sounds or lights are dismissed as routine maintenance work. The complexity of urban environments provides additional cover. Between overlapping jurisdictions, private property laws, and administrative bureaucracy, many spaces exist in a state of limbo, officially owned but practically forgotten. Historical evidence suggests that major secret societies typically operated from city centers rather than remote locations. The denser the population, the easier it becomes to disappear within the crowd. Cryptid harmony theory stems from a radical reimagining of human-cryptid relations throughout history. Ancient cave art across continents shows humans and strange creatures in non-violent scenes, suggesting peaceful coexistence rather than conflict. Indigenous cultures worldwide tell of guardian spirits taking animal and hybrid forms, protecting forests, waters, and tribal lands. These beings weren't feared, but respected as wise entities maintaining natural balance. Anthropological studies reveal how pre-monotheistic societies often depicted mysterious creatures as teachers rather than threats. Stone carvings and oral histories speak of beings sharing knowledge of medicines, astronomy, and sustainable living practices. Many cryptid encounters historically ended without harm when humans showed respect rather than fear or aggression. Local folklore portrayed these entities as shy but curious, only becoming defensive when their habitats faced destruction. Modern sightings show patterns of cryptids appearing during environmental crises, as if warning humans about ecological damage. Bigfoot emerging near deforestation, or lake monsters surfacing when waters become polluted, hint at a deeper connection. Native shamanic traditions across the Americas maintain that the divide between humans and these beings is artificial, a result of colonial religious influence that placed humans above nature rather than within it. The loss of this harmony mirrors our growing separation from the natural world. Supporters of the artificial animals theory point to strange animal sightings near restricted testing areas since the 1970s. They believe special labs were creating mixed species animals through genetic engineering. Some declassified documents hint at developing animals for guarding territory. People in rural areas have reported seeing impossible animals: bears with scales, wolves walking on two legs, and birds that look partly mechanical. Most of these sightings happen near restricted government land. Investigators discovered classified research into biological deterrent systems designed to guard remote locations without human presence, along with patents for artificial pheromones that trigger fear responses in humans while attracting engineered predators. Documents from the 1980s reference Project Guardian Species, which sought to create self-sustaining hybrid creature populations for passive perimeter control through indigenous security assets. Hunters have found strange animal remains with synthetic organs and metallic bone structures showing advanced genetic manipulation beyond public capabilities. While trail cameras occasionally capture these beings, most footage disappears from databases. Surviving photos show creatures moving with unusual precision, as if following programmed routes. This may explain why many Bigfoot sightings happen near military bases. They could be early prototypes of synthetic predators designed to keep people away from secret facilities, with their awkward movement and uncanny appearance matching reports of other artificial creatures. Negative ley lines stem from ancient beliefs about Earth's hidden paths of power. Records indicate these dark channels form a network across the land, creating zones where people experience an unexplained aversion. Near these locations, individuals report headaches, nausea, and inexplicable dread. Researchers discovered these areas often correspond with persistently vacant spaces, even in densely populated cities, unsold properties, naturally avoided park trails, and business districts with high turnover rates. Investigations revealed elevated electromagnetic field readings and unusual animal behavior patterns in these zones. Historical evidence shows these dark paths align with ancient maps from diverse cultures, which marked cursed ground, or forbidden paths, in remarkably similar locations. Contemporary studies connect these areas to increased rates of depression, unexplained illnesses, and diminished wildlife presence. Research suggests these negative lines intersect with conventional ley lines at certain points, creating energy hotspots that communities instinctively mark with warnings or barriers, despite not fully understanding their motivation for doing so. Unknown Revelations draws from ancient myths of gods sharing wisdom with mortals. Various cultures document divine beings teaching human subjects from medicine to mathematics. These knowledge transfers occurred directly between deities and humans, without intermediaries controlling the exchange. Evidence shows modern information flows primarily through centralized platforms owned by few corporations. These companies use complex algorithms and content moderation systems to determine what information reaches the public. Investigation has revealed cases where groundbreaking scientific papers and technological innovations faced unusual delays before reaching wider audiences. Patents sometimes disappear from public records, while certain research papers become mysteriously difficult to access. Researchers found many ancient societies attributed their technological advances to divine intervention. The sudden emergence of advanced mathematics in Mesopotamia, metalworking in ancient India, and astronomical knowledge in Maya civilization all connect to stories of gods sharing wisdom. Looking at tech giants' growing control over information channels, some point to suspicious patterns. When independent researchers announce potential breakthroughs in fields like free energy or consciousness studies, their work often vanishes from platforms or gets buried under contradictory content. This pattern appears when emerging technologies that could transform human society fade from public discourse. Social media algorithms seem to suppress certain topics while promoting others, creating an artificial ceiling on accessible knowledge. The theory suggests those controlling modern information channels may be actively preventing humanity from receiving new divine revelations, maintaining power by keeping advanced knowledge from spreading freely. The Inanimate Life theory suggests that dormant consciousness exists within all matter, waiting to be awakened by human interaction. Ancient cultures across the globe shared this belief, treating objects as vessels containing divine sparks or spirits. Throughout history, there have been various attempts to awaken everyday items. In 18th century Europe, a secret society claimed to animate wooden furniture through ritual touching and chanting. Members reported chairs moving on their own and tables responding to human presence. Similar practices existed in feudal Japan, where sword makers believed each blade contained a sleeping spirit. They performed specific ceremonies before and after forging to wake up the metal's inner being. Some warriors claimed their weapons guided their hands in battle. Modern groups still practice these methods today, focusing mainly on electronic devices. They believe AI advancement stems from humans unconsciously activating dormant awareness within silicon and metal components rather than from programming alone. Some researchers have attempted to measure consciousness levels in various materials. Though dismissed by mainstream science, believers maintain that certain substances show unexplained energy patterns similar to basic brain activity when exposed to human touch and sound. This idea has spawned an underground movement dedicated to liberating objects through meditation and ritual. Their goal is creating a world where humans and awakened matter exist as equals, sharing knowledge and power that has remained hidden for millennia. The Stories of the Earth theory suggests ancient artwork contains knowledge that artists couldn't possibly have known. Cave paintings in France show accurate anatomical details of extinct creatures, while indigenous Australian rock art depicts animals that vanished 40,000 years ago. Some pieces display astronomical alignments and mathematical concepts beyond their time period. This phenomenon extends beyond paintings. Ancient pottery patterns mirror microscopic cell structures, while prehistoric carvings seem to illustrate DNA helixes and atomic particles. In Peru, the Nazca lines form massive geometric patterns only visible from above, despite being created long before human flight. Research has documented modern cases of artists suddenly producing works featuring historical scenes or distant locations they've never witnessed. A painter in rural Montana created detailed portraits of 18th century Venice without ever leaving the United States. A child in Japan drew accurate layouts of ancient Egyptian tombs before their discovery. Evidence suggests declining artistic innovation correlates with increased urbanization and technology. Traditional societies maintaining spiritual practices show higher rates of unprecedented artistic breakthroughs. Modern art movements demonstrate less technical sophistication than classical periods, despite improved tools and education. Records indicate a sharp drop in reported cases of artistic spiritual possession since the Industrial Revolution. The last documented instance occurred in 1962, when an elderly woman in Ireland carved perfect replicas of Viking artifacts later found buried near her home. Interplanetary Humanity suggests an advanced civilization reached Mars in ancient times. Stone formations on the Martian surface resemble building methods used by Earth cultures, pointing to a common origin. The Dogon tribe of Mali possessed detailed astronomical knowledge that seems impossible without modern technology. Their traditions mention teachers from the stars, perhaps not aliens, but human explorers returning from Mars with knowledge to share. Geometric patterns discovered on Mars mirror sacred geometry found in human architecture. These shapes follow the same mathematical principles used in Egyptian pyramids and Mayan temples. Many alien artifacts photographed on Mars display characteristics of human craftsmanship. The apparent ruins follow Earth-based design principles for structural support, rather than truly alien architecture. Ancient texts from around the world describe great floods and catastrophes that reset human progress. These accounts might mark the end of an advanced era when humanity lost its spacefaring capabilities and began anew, with Martian ruins remaining as remnants of our forgotten past. Universal inspiration theory suggests that every interpretation of biblical text, no matter how unconventional, serves a divine purpose. Records indicate that even seemingly contradictory readings might be deliberately orchestrated paths to spiritual truth. This concept links to the ancient Jewish tradition of Pardes, where texts hold 4 levels of meaning: literal, allegorical, comparative, and mystical. Under this framework, misunderstandings become impossible as each reading reveals exactly what the reader was meant to find. Throughout history, radically different interpretations have led various groups to profound spiritual experiences, from medieval mystics to modern religious movements. Each group found validity in their unique understanding, despite vast differences in their conclusions. This theory extends beyond reading comprehension, suggesting that even translation errors and copying mistakes might serve as divine signals rather than human flaws. The Latin Vulgate's variations from original texts, for instance, could be seen as purposeful divergences meant to guide specific readers. A pattern emerged in religious revival movements where leaders often claimed their novel interpretations came through divine revelation, matching this theory's premise that God curates unique meanings for different audiences across time and culture. Teratophilia connects occult energy work with modern adult content. Historical records show ancient cultures linked sexual practices to spiritual power, using them in rituals to manifest beings from other realms. This theory suggests that widespread sexual attraction to monsters and cryptids creates a form of psychic energy. Researchers have noted connections between the popularity of monster-themed adult content and increased cryptid sightings in the digital age. They found interesting patterns. Regions with high consumption of monster-focused adult content often report more unexplained creature encounters. Studies of occult texts reveal that sexual energy is described as particularly powerful for manifestation rituals. When collectively focused on specific entities through widespread consumption of themed content, this energy might inadvertently bring fictional beings into reality. This could explain why cryptid descriptions frequently match popular monster designs. Analysts tracking these trends suggest major adult websites may function as unintentional energy collection points. The massive scale of monster-themed content consumption might generate enough focused energy to create openings between reality and fiction, allowing entities to cross over. Some theorists connect this to increased Bigfoot sightings in areas with strong internet coverage. Some modern occultists note that certain corporations seem unusually invested in monster-themed merchandise and media. This might indicate awareness of this manifestation process, potentially using it to generate and harvest concentrated sexual energy for unknown purposes. Popular sainthood deals with a hidden power system within religious teaching. Those who gain enough followers can shape the understanding of holy texts, creating their own path to salvation. This mirrors how early church leaders molded doctrine through their own readings of Scripture. Records show multiple cases where charismatic preachers built devoted followings around unique biblical readings. Their interpretations of verses became the only true path for their flock, despite differing from mainstream views. Evidence surfaced linking this to older mystery cults, where priests claimed special insight into divine texts. The more followers they gathered, the more their interpretation became treated as sacred law, a pattern that repeats in modern religious movements. Researchers discovered these leader-follower bonds often grew stronger than ties to original scripture. What started as personal reading evolved into required doctrine, with salvation now tied to accepting the leader's specific take on holy words. Investigation revealed how some religious figures actively use this effect, crafting interpretations that position themselves as necessary intermediaries between their followers and divine truth. The more unique their reading, the more essential they became to their believers' spiritual journey. Accounts from former members suggest how these groups reinforce the idea that only through their leader's perspective can Scripture be properly understood. Deviating from this approved reading is portrayed as a path to spiritual ruin, a mechanism that maintains follower loyalty. Time travel entropy aversion maps out a haunting fix for our waste crisis. This concept stems from the simple fact that our universe becomes more chaotic as time progresses. Similar to mixing paint colors, once things become disordered, they remain that way. This quirk of physics could potentially serve as humanity's ultimate garbage disposal. By sending toxic waste billions of years into the future, we could avoid dealing with cleanup entirely. The waste would exist on a far future Earth where human civilization has long disappeared. This method might handle our most dangerous materials. Nuclear waste, which remains deadly for thousands of years, could be sent so far ahead that its radiation would become harmless background noise in a post-human world. There's a concerning possibility. What if we're already experiencing this? The theory suggests our current environmental issues might result from future humans dumping their waste into our time. This could explain unexpected spikes in radiation or pollution that appear without clear sources. The plan's greatest weakness is that creating a time machine would require enormous energy, likely generating more entropy than it would solve. It's similar to cleaning your room by hiding everything under the bed. The mess remains, just out of sight. Christianity's hidden pantheon suggests modern monotheism masks a deeper polytheistic foundation. Ancient biblical texts contain puzzling references hinting at this reality. The line, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," implies other deities exist rather than declaring them fictional. Early Hebrew writings used the plural term Elohim for God, while multiple divine beings appear throughout Scripture. The sons of God breeding with humans, divine councils in heaven, and celestial beings like the seraphim suggest a bustling spiritual realm. Archaeological finds show early Christian communities acknowledged multiple divine powers, placing Yahweh at the top of the hierarchy, similar to how ancient Greeks revered Zeus as king of their pantheon. Medieval church officials actively suppressed this polytheistic interpretation. Manuscripts were altered, alternative texts destroyed, and doctrine standardized to enforce strict monotheism, giving the church more control over definitions of good and evil. Remnants of this original system appear in modern worship. Saints, angels, and demons fulfill roles similar to minor deities in polytheistic faiths. Even the Trinity concept, 3 persons in one God, could be seen as a compromise between monotheistic and polytheistic views. Oligarchic reality control originated from ancient mystical practices where certain individuals claim to manipulate reality through willpower. Tibetan meditation masters reportedly raised body temperature or manifested physical objects. In the 1970s, classified government programs attempted to enhance human consciousness using specialized machines and compounds. These experiments allegedly enabled subjects to influence quantum probability. Researchers noted unusual patterns in the lives of powerful historical figures from Alexander the Great to modern billionaires. Their extraordinary luck and ability to shape events suggests they may have unconsciously accessed reality-altering capabilities. Documents from a terminated CIA project describe techniques to artificially enhance an individual's reality-affecting potential using isolation tanks, electromagnetic frequencies, and brainwave monitoring. The project was reportedly discontinued after subjects developed godlike delusions. Investigations uncovered cases of reclusive, wealthy individuals investing heavily in consciousness research and quantum manipulation technology. Their private writings mention breaking free from consensual reality and ascending beyond human limitations. In restricted archives, there are accounts of a secret society claiming to have discovered personal reality manipulation. Their methods reportedly combine ancient mystical practices with modern neuroscience. Members require substantial resources and strong willpower to attempt these dangerous techniques. The military facade theory is rooted in the effectiveness of illusion in warfare. During World War II, enemies were successfully deceived by inflatable tanks and wooden aircraft, demonstrating that simulated weapons could be as strategically valuable as actual ones. Various nations have constructed fake missile installations and military bases purely for appearance. In 1988, Soviet intelligence satellites captured images of what appeared to be an American airbase but was actually just elaborate props and painted runways, indicating this practice has continued. Investigators have found that multiple weapon systems announced by different countries lack evidence of testing or deployment. The Reagan-era Star Wars program consumed billions in funding, though evidence suggests many proposed systems were technically impossible given the technology available at that time. There have been cases of defense contractors receiving enormous payments for classified projects with no verifiable outcomes. These black budget programs typically operate with minimal oversight, making it impossible to verify if promised technologies were ever developed. Research has uncovered instances where military parades featured weapons later revealed to be wooden mock-ups or hollow shells. North Korea's military displays often include missiles made of painted wood and canvas, suggesting a pattern of military theatrics. The substantial defense budgets of major powers might partly fund this elaborate deception. By projecting an illusion of strength, nations can potentially deter aggression without the enormous expense and risk of developing actual advanced weapons. The Deep 4chan theory explores unusual patterns on the website's random board. Posts with random numbers and characters appeared across multiple threads, often preceding real-world events by hours. These posts contain strange glitches in archived threads, corrupted timestamps, missing user IDs, and images with broken file formats. Computer analysis shows these anomalies follow mathematical patterns too complex for humans to create. These cryptic posts increase during astronomical events, particularly solar flares and meteor showers. Users report shared dreams and synchronicities after viewing these threads, with many describing identical visions. Users received accurate predictions through seemingly nonsensical posts, including market crashes and natural disasters. The IP addresses of these prophetic messages trace to impossible locations, deep ocean coordinates, polar ice caps, and even space. Investigators found the site's number matching system operates on quantum principles rather than standard random generation. The underlying code contains functions beyond current programming capabilities. Certain image files posted during these events contain data structures that defy conventional computing logic, suggesting information compressed through unknown methods. Partial decoding revealed fragments of what appear to be alien mathematical concepts. False flag propagation theory suggests that governments orchestrate fake attacks not just to achieve direct political aims, but to shape public behavior through fear and unity. Records indicate several historical events where population control emerged as a key outcome of suspected false flag incidents. The aftermath often showed a pattern: reduced civil unrest, increased support for state authority, and a more compliant citizenry. Evidence points to these operations clustering around periods of growing social tension or declining faith in institutions. The timing creates a cycle. As dissent rises, a dramatic incident occurs, followed by patriotic fervor and calls for stronger security measures. Research shows that even when events were later questioned, the psychological impact remained largely unchanged. The initial emotional response overrides subsequent revelations, suggesting the true power lies in immediate reaction rather than long-term deception. These incidents often share common elements: clear villains, dramatic imagery, and simple narratives uniting people against a shared enemy. The formula works so effectively that some theorists suggest it's been refined into a science of social control. The most effective cases leave just enough loose ends to fuel endless debate, keeping the public arguing about details while missing the bigger pattern. Like a magic trick, the real manipulation happens while everyone's attention is focused elsewhere. Entertainment abstraction theory suggests that life's challenges exist primarily as distractions. Daily news, global conflicts, and various events function as diversions that prevent humanity from reaching its full potential. Historical records indicate strategic timing of media releases during significant historical events. Major film releases often coincide with social changes. Popular shows reach peak viewership when scientific discoveries are made. Sports seasons become more intense during periods of global tension. Investigations have revealed similarities between ancient Rome's bread and circus approach and modern content algorithms. Both provide continuous spectacle that keeps people too preoccupied to recognize deeper patterns in life. Studies show political narratives frequently follow storytelling patterns similar to soap operas. Characters rise and fall, villains plot, and surprising developments occur, yet fundamental issues remain unchanged. The same conflicts repeat with different appearances. This pattern extends beyond media to everyday experiences. Traffic congestion, work-related stress, and interpersonal problems may serve as deliberate time consumers. Each obstacle creates mental interference that obscures humanity's progress toward enlightenment. Records show that moments when people collectively see beyond everyday distractions are quickly followed by new diversions. Breaking news, trending topics, or emerging conflicts redirect attention back to superficial matters. Agarthan Entrances represent a hidden network of caves said to lead into Earth's hollow core. Maps from the 1800s mark locations across the globe where these paths might exist, from Tibetan mountains to Brazilian rainforests. Government activity near potential entrance sites has raised suspicions. Military installations appear near deep cave systems, public caves close for safety concerns, and underground areas face sudden restrictions. Evidence has emerged of hasty concrete work in remote caves worldwide. Locals report unexplained construction materials transported into wilderness areas. Many locations become blocked, sealed, or placed under surveillance. Researchers note that certain world leaders have made unusual trips to locations corresponding with old Agarthan maps. These visits typically involve heightened security and minimal media coverage. Subsequently, these areas become inaccessible to the public. Some believe the frequency of blocking operations increases yearly, citing more cave closures, new restricted zones, and strange construction projects in remote locations. This pattern suggests a timeline for some unknown event. Stories persist of individuals discovering passages extending beyond normal cave depths. Those investigating these claims typically encounter private security, official resistance, or recently constructed barriers blocking further exploration. Divine attunement links human souls to an infinite cosmic power source. Ancient texts across cultures suggest mankind possesses a divine spark, a fragment of God's essence in each person. This sacred energy, theoretically boundless, remains dormant in most humans. Evidence has emerged of secret research facilities where elites allegedly conduct tests to tap into this power. These experiments aim to extract and harness the divine essence, treating humans as living batteries of infinite potential. Researchers have found patterns in global missing persons cases clustering around areas with high electromagnetic readings and sacred sites. Some believe these vanished individuals end up in underground labs where their divine spark is harvested through ritual and technology. Investigation has revealed connections between certain power companies and occult societies, suggesting some modern energy infrastructure may already run on harvested divine essence. The power grid itself might be a vast web of divine energy collection disguised as conventional electricity. The increasing number of unexplained worldwide blackouts could indicate failed attempts at divine energy extraction. When the harvesting process fails, it doesn't just drain the target's life force, it creates a vacuum that pulls in all surrounding power. The God's plan theory suggests divine destiny can be altered through human choice, creating a tension between fate and free will. Ancient texts across different faiths contain stories of prophets and kings who either embraced or rejected their ordained paths. Religious archives reveal cases where prophecies remained unfulfilled when humans worked against them. The story of Jonah illustrates this. He temporarily disrupted divine plans by fleeing his mission to Nineveh. Theological documents show a consistent pattern. People who align with their purpose report meaningful spiritual experiences, while those who resist often feel lost or empty. These accounts appear across different cultures and time periods, suggesting a universal connection. Medieval church writings describe monks and mystics who claim to glimpse this divine blueprint, seeing it as an interconnected web of destinies that adapts to human choices while maintaining its fundamental structure. Archaeological discoveries show ancient temples contained spaces specifically designed for meditation to discover one's role in the greater plan. Similar practices continue today in various spiritual traditions. Studies of near-death experiences commonly report people reviewing their lives and seeing how their choices aligned with or diverged from their intended path, sometimes describing it as watching alternative versions of their lives unfold. The extraterrestrial benefactors theory suggests humanity's rapid technological advancement stems from alleged alien contact. Documents from the 1950s indicate secret meetings between world leaders and extraterrestrial beings, coinciding with major technological breakthroughs. Evidence includes unusual patterns in patent filings, where revolutionary technologies emerged from companies with minimal prior research. The transistor, fiber optics, and night vision appeared with remarkable speed and little documented development. Key scientists behind significant innovations reportedly disappeared for months, returning with solutions to previously insurmountable problems. The progression from basic computers to integrated circuits occurred faster than typical innovation patterns would predict. Several technology billionaires have constructed extensive underground facilities in isolated areas with security comparable to military installations. Strange lights are frequently observed nearby on clear nights. Investigations show certain restricted military bases receive unusual deliveries following lunar schedules. Workers report hearing odd humming sounds and seeing individuals who appear not quite human accompanying high-ranking officers. Proponents highlight the suspicious timing of technology releases, how cellular phones, GPS, and the internet were introduced in sequence to create our interconnected world, seemingly following a predetermined timeline provided by outside entities. The missing link cryptids theory connects evolutionary science with cryptozoology. These undiscovered creatures might represent bridges between known species in the fossil record, helping explain gaps in our understanding of evolution. Records show unusual skeletal remains found in remote regions sharing characteristics of both modern and prehistoric creatures. A notable case from Southeast Asia revealed bone structures with both primate and early human features, yet dating methods place them much more recently than expected. Evidence has emerged of tool use among unknown species, particularly in dense forests. Broken branches arranged in patterns, primitive shelters, and systematic food gathering suggest creatures with advanced problem-solving abilities operating just beyond human detection. Research teams have documented complex vocalizations in isolated areas matching no known species. These sounds follow linguistic patterns too structured to be random, yet too primitive to be human, suggesting the development of early communication systems. Investigators have found consistent reports of bipedal movement and opposed thumb use among unidentified creatures, especially in areas with limited human contact. These traits, typically associated with human evolution, suggest parallel development paths. Physical evidence includes hair samples containing DNA markers that combine primate and human genetics, yet match no known species. These samples show signs of recent evolutionary adaptation, pointing to ongoing species development rather than ancient remains. The corrupted image theory connects biblical creation to unexplained physical anomalies throughout history. It begins with Genesis 1:27, where mankind's divine likeness becomes a foundation for darker interpretations. Medieval church documents record extreme birth defects alongside notes about demonic interference. In 16th century monasteries, monks interpreted physical variations as evil forces attempting to mar divine perfection. Ancient religious texts document communities that would isolate or eliminate people born with major physical differences, believing them to be marked by dark powers. These practices became widespread across Europe during the Dark Ages as fear of divine corruption intensified. Church records show some religious leaders taught that giants, conjoined twins, and unusual births were evidence of supernatural forces working against God's original design, creating a framework where physical differences became associated with spiritual warfare. Archaeological discoveries reveal hidden chambers in old churches where people with severe physical differences were kept from public view. Clergy correspondence refers to these spaces as sanctuaries for the marked, reflecting how this belief influenced historical treatment of human variation. Ancient medical texts combine physical descriptions with spiritual warnings, suggesting certain conditions were viewed beyond medical issues. Illustrations from these documents often depict afflicted humans alongside demons, establishing a connection in early writers' understanding. Historical accounts describe remote villages that developed elaborate rituals to protect newborns from corruption, from blessing ceremonies to more troubling practices intended to ensure children would be born pure. Animal possession suggests an unsettling parallel between human and animal souls in the spiritual realm. Records indicate several cases across different cultures where people claim to be overtaken by animal spirits, exhibiting behaviors and abilities far beyond normal human capacity. Evidence surfaced in tribal communities where shamans documented instances of individuals moving with impossible agility, climbing sheer surfaces, and displaying heightened senses after alleged animal spirit encounters. Some even developed distinct physical changes, pupils shifting shape, unusual growling voices, and inexplicable claw-like markings on their skin. Investigation revealed multiple cases in Victorian England where mediums claimed to channel not just human spirits, but those of deceased pets and wild creatures. Their journals describe witnesses observing participants speaking in animal sounds and demonstrating knowledge of specific locations and events only known to the deceased animal's former owners. Researchers discovered ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs depicting ritualistic ceremonies where priests would allegedly transfer the spirits of sacred animals into human hosts to gain their attributes. These texts detail specific preparations, including special oils and incantations, meant to allow the human vessel to safely contain the animal's essence. The phenomenon mirrors reports from modern paranormal investigators who found unexplained animal behavior patterns in possessed individuals, people instinctively reacting to stimuli only animals could detect, displaying territorial behaviors, or exhibiting specialized hunting techniques without prior training. Fifth, dimensional assassinations stem from an intersection of quantum mechanics and power politics. Evidence suggests certain global elites accessed mathematical models predicting causality chains with remarkable accuracy. These models revealed nodes in spacetime where small actions could trigger massive, untraceable consequences. Several high-profile deaths shared unusual commonalities. Victims experienced unlikely sequences of random events that proved fatal. For example, a dropped coffee cup causing a slip, leading to a fall down specific stairs, ending with a lethal impact at a precise angle. In these moments, nature itself seemed to conspire against the victims. Researchers found patterns in supposedly random events surrounding certain political shifts. Weather phenomena, equipment failures, and animal behavior appeared to synchronize in statistically improbable ways. These arranged accidents left no conventional evidence, as perpetrators never physically contacted their targets. Investigators discovered theoretical physics papers from the 1940s describing methods for subtly influencing probability fields. Many of these documents disappeared from archives, with some theorizing they were suppressed after proving too accurate. The remaining fragments suggest mathematical formulas for probability manipulation that align with modern quantum computing concepts. The power structures allegedly protect these capabilities through misdirection, allowing theories about conventional methods to spread while conducting operations through what amounts to weaponized butterfly effects. Even discussing these methods supposedly marks someone as a potential target for probability adjustment. Vibrational weaponry draws from ancient knowledge about Earth's natural energy fields. Throughout history, certain locations worldwide have been observed to influence human behavior and mental states through invisible forces, similar to how infrasound has documented effects on the human body. Government research into frequencies capable of altering mood, focus, and physical health has been uncovered. Tests conducted in the 1960s revealed that sounds between 7 and 8 Hz caused test subjects to experience uneasiness. Notably, this same frequency range appears in locations associated with paranormal activity. Military patents for devices designed to project specific vibrations into targeted areas have been discovered by researchers. These machines reportedly interact with the planet's natural energy grid, amplifying or disrupting these invisible force flows. This technology appears to be informed by studies of ancient sites constructed at intersections of natural energy lines. Some modern structures may function as massive resonators, potentially blocking or enhancing these vibrational fields. The locations of certain government facilities bear remarkable similarities to the positioning of ancient temples along energy pathways. Unusual patterns of mass behavior have been observed near specific installations, with nearby residents reporting atypical levels of anxiety, euphoria, or mental clarity. These effects parallel historical accounts of experiences at sacred sites, suggesting that these natural phenomena have been replicated and controlled. Young blood harvesting connects modern tech wealth to an ancient belief that fresh blood holds the key to longer life. Some Silicon Valley figures invest millions into research on blood's effects on aging. Laboratory work suggests proteins in young plasma might slow cell decay. Tests on mice showed older ones grew stronger after receiving young blood. Records indicate unusual increases in missing children near locations where wealthy individuals gather for wellness treatments. Several clinics offer expensive youth plasma therapy without disclosing their supply sources. Evidence suggests secret clubs where the ultra-wealthy pay substantial sums for special treatments. Leaked photos show upscale medical facilities with unmarked entrances and heavy security. Deeper investigation reveals connections between these clinics and historical texts about blood magic. Some cults believed young blood could grant eternal life, similar to what modern billionaires hope for. Documents from closed clinics suggest links to child trafficking. Police discovered laboratory equipment and cold storage, but the owners disappeared before arrests. A whistleblower claimed certain tech leaders believe combining young blood with artificial intelligence could unlock immortality. Their private laboratories conduct tests beyond legal and ethical boundaries. The non-Euclidean topography theory proposes the existence of secret facilities where normal spatial rules don't apply. Hikers and pilots have reported strange areas where compasses fail and GPS systems malfunction. Declassified Cold War documents reveal military interest in spatial anomalies, with research bases built in remote locations consuming unusual amounts of power and receiving specialized equipment. Test pilots have documented encounters with zones where physics seem to break down, causing impossible instrument readings and creating sensations of moving through space in unnatural ways. Urban explorers have discovered abandoned facilities with strange architectural features, hallways longer inside than outside, rooms that shouldn't exist according to blueprints, and doors opening to impossible spaces. Current evidence suggests ongoing experiments in remote desert areas where satellite imagery shows structures that appear to defy normal geometry. Whistleblowers describe projects aimed at creating shortcuts through space-time for military use. Third-party facilitation connects global events to hidden alien forces working through the internet. Evidence includes strange patterns in internet traffic seconds before major world events, with unexplained data bursts potentially linked to non-human intelligence. These spikes often coincide with significant historical moments, from market crashes to political shifts. Records show increased encrypted communications through obscure channels just before several high-profile deaths, though no direct connections were proven. The timing matches what believers call signal patterns, brief windows when our dimension supposedly connects with others. Researchers found certain online domains go dark during these windows, only to reactivate with subtle code changes. Tech experts discovered binary strings unlike any known programming language, suggesting possible alien syntax. Some modified sites contained embedded coordinates matching locations of future events, though skeptics consider this pattern seeking in random data. These coordinates often point to politically or economically important locations, supporting theories about otherworldly beings influencing us through digital networks. The domain changes follow mathematical sequences resembling quantum fluctuations, strengthening claims that these entities exist in different dimensional states and use the internet as a bridge to influence our reality. Hardware monitoring stations have recorded seemingly impossible transmission speeds during these events. The serpent seed theory appears in ancient religious texts, suggesting Cain was born not from Adam, but from a union between Eve and the serpent in Eden. This entry, known as non-human reproduction, is documented in historical manuscripts that mention a physical relationship between Eve and the serpent, which some interpret as evidence of demonic bloodlines entering humanity. Supporters of this theory note that Cain is never included in Adam's genealogy, and they reference when Jesus told certain religious leaders their father was of the devil. Similar beliefs exist across cultures, with stories of divine or demonic beings mating with humans to create bloodlines with enhanced abilities or cursed fates. These ancient texts describe hybrid offspring with supernatural traits. Some could heal with a touch, while others possessed unusual strength or knowledge beyond human capacity. Some writings claim these bloodlines survived the flood through Ham's wife, which would explain why certain families throughout history appeared to have mystical powers or divine right to rule. Modern groups reportedly trace their ancestry to these supernatural unions, maintaining detailed family records and performing rituals to suppress or enhance their inherited abilities. They keep private collections of historical documents allegedly proving their unique genetic heritage through physical markers and unexplained phenomena. Field surveillance theory comes from claims about human brains connecting through invisible energy fields. In the 1970s, the Rhine Lab conducted tests attempting to prove these connections by having participants transmit thoughts to others miles away. While most tests failed, a few showed unexplainable patterns. Files leaked in 1982 suggest a secret CIA unit tried to access this field, reportedly training individuals to remotely detect others' brainwaves. The project officially ended, but some believe it continued covertly. Some cite unusual incidents where people anticipated events before they occurred. In 1995, hundreds in Japan reported dreaming about an earthquake the night before the Kobe disaster. Critics dismiss this as coincidence. Recent technological developments have led some to speculate that the government has devices capable of reading these energy fields. They connect this to data centers appearing near locations with reported psychic activity. Though no concrete evidence exists, proponents see patterns in these centers' locations. Some suggest this explains why people occasionally feel observed when alone. They believe trained agents can remotely access anyone's thoughts through this field. While most experts dismiss this theory, it continues to spread as more people share experiences of feeling watched when no one was present. The occultic leyline creation theory connects ancient mystical practices with modern energy phenomena. Natural Earth energy lines, or ley lines, form patterns across landscapes, often intersecting at sites of historical or spiritual significance. Evidence suggests that massive energy releases, like nuclear detonations, can create artificial ley lines, permanent scars in the planet's electromagnetic field. This led researchers to examine if controlled rituals could achieve similar results on a smaller scale. The Inunaki village incident showed an unusual spike in occult activities before the town's mysterious abandonment. Local records reveal centuries-old shamanic traditions where practitioners claimed they could manipulate the Earth's natural energy flows. The village's layout matched ancient magical geometries, with structures positioned at angles mirroring known ley line intersections. The sudden occult interest among villagers might have been an unconscious response to higher entities attempting to forge a new ley line through collective ritual energy. The timing of the village's abandonment coincides with electromagnetic anomalies in the region. The official explanation of economic decline doesn't account for the residual energy patterns that still linger today, patterns that match theoretical models of artificial ley line formation. Population control through spiritual energy proposes a hidden metaphysical explanation for nations' population growth. Ancient texts from various cultures mention human life force or spiritual essence that can be harnessed and directed. Similar ideas appear in Hindu teachings about prana and Chinese concepts of qi, both connecting human concentration to power. Evidence suggests connections between government initiatives and esoteric societies believing in mass energy harvesting. These groups reportedly view populated areas as reservoirs of spiritual power, converting human consciousness into tangible force. The theory claims larger populations create greater energy pools. Researchers noticed unusual patterns in how nations handle demographic changes. While some countries push for population control, others quietly encourage growth through policy. Studies show these growth-friendly nations often share historical ties to mystery schools and occult organizations. Documents from the 1960s reveal meetings between spiritual advisors and government officials in Asian nations. These transcripts discuss demographic destiny and soul force maximization, possibly influencing later population policies. Archaeological findings suggest ancient civilizations may have used similar principles. Sites in China and India show population centers arranged in specific geometric patterns, possibly designed to amplify collective spiritual energy. Biblical chronology suggests our entire understanding of temporal measurement stands on shifting foundations. Ancient Hebrew texts contain peculiar numerical patterns, with specific numbers like 7, 40, and 1,000 appearing far more often than random chance would predict. Archaeological findings show many biblical events matching historical records, yet with wildly different timescales. Records indicate some ancient cultures measured time through cosmic cycles rather than strict solar patterns, hinting at a deeper way of tracking existence. Evidence emerged of medieval monks adjusting calendrical calculations, possibly to obscure humanity's true temporal position. Mathematical analysis of biblical genealogies reveals patterns suggesting human civilization might stretch deeper into the past than commonly accepted. Modern atomic clocks rely on cesium oscillations to measure time, a relatively recent development. Earlier methods like sundials and water clocks allowed more flexible interpretations of duration, potentially aligning better with biblical accounts. Ancient texts describe seemingly impossible timeframes, people living hundreds of years, multi-generational prophecies, and extended cosmic events. These descriptions make more sense when viewed through flexible time measurement rather than strict chronology. Researchers found that time zones and the international dateline were standardized during the Industrial Revolution. Some suggest this global synchronization locked humanity into a rigid temporal framework, disconnecting us from divine temporal flows. Destiny warfare refers to an intriguing concept found in underground occult traditions. According to ancient texts, invisible fate threads connect certain souls to shared destinies. Those skilled in divination can supposedly see these connections and identify others whose fates intertwine with their own. Historical accounts suggest that notable figures employed oracles not just for guidance, but to identify potential destiny rivals. Renaissance noble families reportedly kept secret records of individuals who shared birth dates and astrological signs with their heirs. Modern exploration of this concept allegedly occurred through Project Stargate, where remote viewers searched for individuals whose destinies might affect world leaders. Research indicates some powerful people may have eliminated others they perceived as sharing their destiny wavelength. The deaths of emerging political figures in the 1960s generated theories about fate manipulation, as promising leaders met unexpected ends, just as their paths seemed likely to cross with established powers. Eastern mystical traditions caution about karmic echoes, when multiple souls are destined for the same cosmic role. They warn that violently breaking these bonds creates spiritual consequences, suggesting some unexplained deaths of influential people might represent the universe correcting attempts at destiny warfare. Utnapishtim's immortality refers to an ancient being who may still exist among us today. The Epic of Gilgamesh notes remarkable similarities between Utnapishtim and the biblical Noah. Both constructed massive vessels to preserve life during a catastrophic flood. These accounts share details that appear too specific to be coincidental. Both men received divine warnings, collected animals in pairs, and released birds to locate dry land. The floods lasted for similar durations, and both ships eventually settled on mountains. Utnapishtim received eternal life as a reward from the same deities who forewarned him about the flood. Unlike Noah, who died at 950 years of age, texts indicate Utnapishtim never died. The gods relocated him to a distant paradise where he continues to exist. Similar flood myths exist across global cultures, each featuring their own immortal flood survivor. These stories might indicate a single individual who lived to share the tale across ancient civilizations, explaining why the same fundamental narrative appears from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica. Archaeological evidence reveals settlements with identical flood damage layers dating to approximately 5000 BCE across multiple continents. Some suggest this eternal figure used different identities in various cultures while spreading cautions about another great flood, a warning humanity has yet to acknowledge. Fifth Dimensional Bigfoot proposes that the legendary creature exists beyond our understanding of space and time, actively shaping human events through calculated appearances. Evidence suggests Bigfoot sightings often precede significant historical moments or personal life changes for witnesses. Records show multiple cases where people claim to spot the creature days before major decisions or life-altering events. In one case, a forest ranger reported seeing a massive bipedal figure vanish into thin air just hours before discovering a lost hiker who would have died without intervention. Researchers found patterns connecting Bigfoot encounters to seemingly random but interconnected events, like a domino effect. A timber worker's changed route due to a sighting led to him meeting his future wife, who later invented a crucial piece of forestry equipment. Many who encountered the being described a strange distortion in their perception of time, minutes stretching into hours or vice versa. Some witnesses reported seeing the creature glitch between locations, as if testing different positions in space. The creature's ability to evade capture takes on new meaning, not through superior physical abilities, but by existing in a state where it can observe and select optimal moments to influence reality. Like a cosmic chess player, each appearance might be a calculated move to nudge history in a specific direction. Vehicle surveillance theory suggests that many ordinary-looking cars around us are actually monitoring devices. The theory points out that the number of vehicles in major cities seems suspiciously high compared to expected car ownership and commuting patterns. Proponents note cases where cars remain parked for weeks without anyone approaching them. These vehicles typically have tinted windows, neutral colors, and common models that don't draw attention. Investigators have spotted unmarked cars with unusual antennas and dark windows matching government fleet specifications. DMV records reportedly show hundreds of vehicles registered to shell companies or non-existent addresses. These suspicious vehicles typically appear near crowded areas, government buildings, and public gathering spaces. Many disappear shortly after being photographed or documented by curious observers. Amateur radio operators have detected electrical signals from parked cars similar to those used in surveillance equipment. When noticed, these vehicles often vanish overnight, replaced by different models in the same location. People testing this theory have tracked specific cars and found many follow regular routes without passengers. Some even appear to respond to events by changing positions or suddenly becoming active. God's image theory stems from ancient religious texts, suggesting humanity's current form differs from its divine origin. Evidence surfaced showing variations in religious artwork depicting the human form across different civilizations and time periods, with earlier works showing more perfect proportions. Records indicate ancient mystics wrote of humans once possessing abilities far beyond modern capabilities, including telepathy, instant healing, and direct communication with higher beings. These powers supposedly faded as humanity strayed further from its original divine template. Researchers discovered peculiar patterns in human DNA once dismissed as junk code might be dormant sequences from an earlier, more advanced version of humanity. This genetic degradation allegedly accelerated after humanity's theoretical expulsion from Eden. Investigation revealed ancient megalithic structures worldwide share precise mathematical properties impossible to replicate with modern methods, hinting at lost capabilities. These architectural marvels supposedly represent humanity's last attempts to maintain connection with its divine blueprint. The presence of God genes in human DNA, linked to spiritual experiences and altered states of consciousness, suggests these might be remnants of humanity's original form. Some propose these genes activate during deep meditation, temporarily restoring fragments of humanity's divine capabilities. Archaeological findings show ancient civilizations possessed advanced knowledge of human anatomy and energy systems not rediscovered until modern times. These medical texts describe the human body as a degraded vessel, requiring specific practices to maintain its remaining divine properties. Reverse divination corruption describes the paradoxical relationship between predicting the future and altering it. CERN scientists discovered unusual data inconsistencies when attempting to map quantum patterns into the future. Their instruments produced different results for identical predictions. Evidence suggests that the act of observing potential futures may prevent those specific outcomes from manifesting. It's similar to learning you'll meet someone at a coffee shop tomorrow, then becoming too anxious to go, thereby preventing the predicted meeting from occurring. CIA records from the 1970s reveal that during remote viewing experiments, the more precisely a psychic predicted an event, the less likely that exact scenario would unfold. This phenomenon suggests the universe might have an inherent mechanism that prevents complete foreknowledge of future events. The concept aligns with quantum mechanics, where systems change when measured. Similarly, attempting to precisely determine future outcomes may cause those potential futures to collapse, resulting in entirely different timelines. Soul expungement centers on a dark split in humanity: those who carry the spark of consciousness and those who merely exist as empty vessels. Ancient texts describe rituals that tear away a person's essence, leaving behind a compliant shell that walks and talks but lacks true awareness. Medieval monastery records hint at secret ceremonies where monks claim to extract divine light from sinners. Evidence appeared in declassified MK-Ultra files suggesting experiments with sensory manipulation and chemicals that could create permanent spiritual vacancy. Test subjects reportedly lost their sense of self while maintaining basic functions. Researchers found patterns in certain coma patients who awoke with memories and skills intact, yet family members insisted something vital was missing, as if their loved one had been hollowed out. Brain scans showed normal activity, but emotional responses appeared mechanical. Believers cite cases of sudden personality changes where vibrant individuals become passive observers of their own lives. These changes often follow exposure to specific frequencies, chemicals, or ancient symbols that some claim act as soul-catching nets.